You know that strange, looping hook that's stuck in your head? It's not just a sample, it's a gateway to a revolution. That sound, that beat, that rhythm, it's more than music, it's a message. It's the kind of sound that feels like it's been around forever, but somehow it's brand new. It's the sound of a moment that changed everything, and it starts with one man, one idea, one beat. It's not just music, it's a language. And it was born in the streets, in the basement, in the silence between the notes. That hook is the voice of a generation waiting to be heard. That sound, that hook, that beat, it's the first note of a revolution. It's the sound of a man who saw a world of noise and made something out of it. And that's how Dr. Dre changed hip-hop. So what exactly are we talking about? We're not just talking about a producer or a beatmaker or a rapper. We're talking about a revolution. A sound that reshaped how hip-hop was made, heard and felt. He brought a new kind of precision to the art of music production. Before him, hip-hop was raw, unpolished and rooted in the streets. He transformed it into something more, something refined yet still authentic. He redefined the role of the producer. No longer just a background figure, he became a central voice in the creative process. His beats were more than accompaniment, they were the heartbeat of the track. He also gave hip-hop a new identity. No longer just a movement, it became a culture. A culture that was loud, unapologetic and full of swagger. Dre's sound carried the weight of history, but it also carried the promise of something new. So when we talk about Dr. Dre and his impact on hip-hop, we're talking about more than just music. We're talking about a shift in how people listened, how they felt, and how they imagined the future of their art. You think hip-hop is just about beats and bravado? Think again. Dr. Dre didn't just make music, he rewired the way we listen, the way we feel, and the way we live. His influence is in every bass drop, every lyric, and every beat you hear today. He didn't just sample, he transformed. He took the raw, unfiltered energy of the streets and turned it into something timeless, something that speaks to the soul. You might not know the name of the sample, but you feel it in your bones. His music isn't just heard, it's experienced. It's the pulse of a generation, the soundtrack to moments that shape us. You don't have to be a fan to feel its impact. It's in the way you move, the way you speak, the way you dream. Dr. Dre didn't just change hip-hop, he changed the world. He showed us that music could be both art and business, and that authenticity could be profitable. You might not know his name, but you live in the world he built. So when you hear that familiar beat, when you feel that bass in your chest, remember, it's not just music. It's a legacy, a revolution, and a secret that you're part of. You should care, not just because it's good, but because it's yours. In the late 80s, hip-hop was a raw, underground movement. It was chaotic, full of raw emotion and storytelling, but it needed a producer to bring it to the next level. That's where Dr. Dre came in, with his ear for rhythm and his knack for blending soul with beats. He brought a new sound to the West Coast, tight, sample-based beats with a heavy bass line and crisp hi-hats. His production was like a blueprint for the future, and it started with the NWA album, which redefined what hip-hop could be. He wasn't just making music, he was building an empire. With Death Row Records, he created a label that defined a generation, and his influence extended beyond sound, shaping the culture and image of hip-hop itself. But even as he rose to fame, Dr. Dre never forgot where he came from. He stayed true to his roots, and in doing so, he helped hip-hop grow into a global force without losing its soul or its voice. So imagine you're at a party, and everyone's just shouting and having fun. But then, someone steps up, grabs the mic, and starts making music that makes you feel like you're in a whole new world. That's what Dr. Dre did for hip-hop. He didn't just make beats, he made stories. Every track was like a movie with a beginning, middle, and end. You could feel the tension, the drama, the triumph. It wasn't just music, it was a journey. He made hip-hop more than just a sound. He gave it a heartbeat, a soul, a purpose. It wasn't just about rhymes anymore, it was about truth, struggle, and dreams. And he didn't just change music, he changed how people saw themselves. He gave a voice to the voiceless, and that changed everything. Before the beats could drop, there had to be a place to make them. Dr. Dre's setup wasn't just a room, it was a blueprint for hip-hop's future. It started in a cramped, sunlit studio with walls that echoed like a cathedral of sound. He didn't just plug in and play, he built the foundation. Every wire, every console, every tape deck was chosen with precision. This wasn't just a space, it was a laboratory for sonic experimentation. He didn't just create music, he engineered the sound of a generation. His setup was the first step in a revolution that would redefine what hip-hop could be. That setup wasn't just a place to record, it was a proving ground for a new era. It was the starting line for something bigger than music. It was the birth of a movement. Step 2 is the mechanism, the way the beat is constructed. It's not just about the drums, it's about how every element is layered, how the bass line interacts with the rhythm, how the melody sits in the mix. It's a blueprint for the track, a blueprint that tells a story. Dre didn't just play the beat, he built it. He had a unique ability to take simple ideas and make them feel complex, like a well-crafted poem. His use of space in the mix was revolutionary, giving each part its own breathing room. He used samples not just to create sound, but to create meaning. The beat wasn't just music, it was a narrative, a mood, a memory. It told you where you were and where you were going. The beat is the heartbeat of the track. It's what holds everything together, what gives the song its structure and soul. Dre turned the beat into something more than just rhythm, it became the emotion of the music. In the end, the beat is the mechanism. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, there's no song, no story, no feeling, just noise. The twist wasn't just in the music, it was in the way he positioned himself. He wasn't just a producer, he was a brand, a name that carried weight, credibility, and influence. He built a label, a team, a whole ecosystem around his sound. It wasn't just about making good music, it was about controlling the culture, shaping it, and owning it. He used his influence to bring in the best talent, to push boundaries, and to redefine what hip-hop could be. It wasn't just a genre, it was a movement, and he was its architect. By blending West Coast G-funk with mainstream appeal, he created something new, something that felt both authentic and commercial. It was a masterclass in innovation and influence. Dre wasn't just making beats, he was mapping the frequency of emotion. Every snare, every bass drop was a calculated ripple in the air, shaping how we felt and how we moved. His production was a language of physics and poetry, where the science of sound met the soul of the street. You could feel the math in the music, the rhythm in the gravity. The science wasn't just in the gear. It was in the way he made silence count, how he could make a drum hit feel like a heartbeat, or a synth line feel like a whisper. He used the tools of science to give hip-hop a heartbeat, and in doing so, he gave it a pulse that would beat through every generation of listeners. You could say Dre's impact on hip-hop is like a master sculptor who takes a raw block of marble and turns it into a statue, but he doesn't stop there. He carves a whole gallery, and every piece is a new way to hear the world. He didn't just change the sound, he changed the way we listened, how we felt, and how we understood the rhythm of the streets. His work was a revolution, but it was also a conversation. Dre didn't just make hip-hop louder, he made it mean something. He gave it a soul, and then he gave it a voice that could reach across the world. In the end, Dre's legacy is not just in the beats he made, but in the way he shaped the language of a generation. He didn't just create music, he created a new way of storytelling. So, even if we don't always understand the full depth of what he did, we can still feel it, like the weight of a statue in a quiet gallery, waiting to be noticed. There's a story that Dre once told me, about a time when he sat in a parked car for hours, just listening to the radio, waiting for the perfect beat to come on. It wasn't just about music, it was about timing, about patience, about knowing when to step in. He said that moment taught him something about the art of waiting. Not waiting for luck, but waiting for the right sound, the right moment, the right space. That's when he realized hip-hop wasn't just about rhymes, it was about rhythm, about silence, about the spaces between the beats. He once told me that the best beats are the ones that make you feel like you're not just hearing music, you're hearing the world. That's why his music has always carried weight. It wasn't just about sound. It was about story, about truth, about the silence that speaks louder than any lyric. This is the part that sounds made up but isn't. It's the part where the magic happens. It's the part where Dre, with his headphones on, listens to the world and turns it into something new. That's how he changed hip-hop, not by making loud noises, but by making space for the silence to speak. The first myth is that Dre was just a producer, not a rapper. But that's not true. He was a full-fledged artist, crafting lyrics with the same precision he used in the studio. He didn't just make beats. He made verses that told stories, challenged norms, and spoke to the rawness of street life. His words were as sharp as his production. This myth ignores the truth. Dre was a rapper, a producer, a visionary, and a revolutionary. His duality made him a force in hip-hop that no one could ignore. He didn't just change the sound of hip-hop, he changed the way we saw it. His legacy isn't just in the music, but in the artists he inspired to be more than just producers. The idea that Dr. Dre was just a producer, not a rapper, is a myth that's been around for years. But let's be clear, his lyrical skill was just as sharp as his beats. He wasn't just making tracks for other artists. He was riding the blueprint for the West Coast sound, blending gangster rap with a poetic edge. When people say he wasn't a rapper, they are ignoring the truth. He was one of the most skilled lyricists of his time. His legacy isn't just in the music. It's in the way he redefined what it meant to be a rapper, a producer, and a cultural force. When you walk into a store and hear a beat that's got that unmistakable bass line, you're hearing Dr. Dre's fingerprints. It's not just music anymore. It's the heartbeat of a culture that's grown up with it. Every time you ride the bus and the radio plays a song that's got that gritty, layered production, you're hearing a sound that's shaped how we listen to music today. It's in the rhythm of your daily grind. You don't have to be a fan to feel it. It's in the way people dress, the way they carry themselves, the way they create. It's a language, and Dr. Dre was the one who made it speak louder than ever before. In the end, it's not just about the music. It's about the way it makes you feel. It's about the way it connects people across time and space. That's where Dre's influence really lives, in the silence between the beats. In 1992, when Dr. Dre released The Chronic, he didn't just make a record, he made a cultural statement. The album redefined what hip-hop could be, blending gangster rap with funk and soul in a way that felt fresh, raw, and real. One track, Nothing But a G-Thang, became a blueprint for a new kind of hip-hop, one that wasn't just about the beat, but the mood, the atmosphere, the storytelling. It wasn't just music, it was a lifestyle. But the real power of The Chronic wasn't just in its sound, it was in its impact. It brought hip-hop to a new audience, proving that the genre could be both edgy and sophisticated, a balance that was hard to achieve before. Dr. Dre didn't just make a record, he made a movement. He showed that hip-hop could be more than just a voice for the streets. It could be a global phenomenon, shaping culture, fashion, and the way we think about music itself. That's the kind of influence that doesn't fade. Even now, when you hear the beats or the bass lines, you can hear the echoes of The Chronic, a record that changed everything and still resonates today. When Dr. Dre stepped into the studio, he wasn't just making beats, he was redefining the language of hip-hop. His production wasn't just loud, it was a force, a sound that demanded to be felt. He pushed the boundaries of what was possible in the studio, using gear that was ahead of its time. His sound wasn't just loud, it was layered, textured, and impassably rich. With albums like The Chronic, he created a sonic template that fused gangster rap with West Coast G-funk, setting a new standard for production that others would try to match but never surpass. His influence extended beyond the studio. His sound became a cultural movement, a soundtrack to a generation of young people who were discovering their voice through the power of music. Dr. Dre didn't just change hip-hop, he redefined what it could be. His legacy is not just in the beats he made, but in the way he shaped the future of music itself. Dr. Dre's empire wasn't built on a single hit. It was built on a foundation of trust, creativity, and vision. But even the strongest foundations can crack under the weight of expectation. As the years passed, the pressure mounted. The beatmakers who once thrived under his guidance began to feel like they were just part of a machine. The fire that once fueled innovation started to flicker. The once unbreakable bond between Dr. Dre and his artists began to fray. What had been a creative partnership became a business arrangement. The music, once a conversation, became a contract. And then the cracks became fractures. The music that had once defined a generation started to feel like a relic. The culture that once embraced it now questioned its relevance. Dr. Dre's legacy wasn't destroyed by a single moment, but by the slow erosion of trust, creativity, and connection. The question remains, what happens when the beat no longer feels like a beat? Dre's success created a new standard, but it also created a burden. The weight of expectation, the pressure to innovate, the fear of being overshadowed by his own legacy, those are the shadows that come with the spotlight. He had to constantly reinvent himself, not just as an artist, but as a businessman, a mentor, and a symbol. The pressure wasn't just creative, it was personal, and it took a toll on his relationships and mental health. His influence was undeniable, but it also created a divide. The legacy of Dre is a double-edged sword. His contributions are celebrated, but his methods and decisions are often scrutinized and debated. The downside of Dre's success isn't just about him. It's about the culture he helped shape. It's about the expectations that came with his rise and the challenges that followed for those who came after. In the end, Dre's story is more than just a success story. It's a cautionary tale about legacy, responsibility, and the price of being a pioneer in a world that never stops changing. We stand at the edge of a moment in time, where the chaos of sound and rhythm began to make sense. It was not a sudden flash of genius, but a slow, deliberate unraveling of what was possible. Dre didn't just hear the world, he translated it. He took the street sounds, the bass lines, the beats, and turned them into a language that people could feel in their bones. The science of sound, the psychology of rhythm, the sociology of music, it all came together in a way that felt natural, even inevitable. It wasn't just about making noise, it was about making sense of it. It took years of trial, error, and relentless curiosity to figure out how to bridge the gap between the raw, chaotic energy of the streets and the precision of the studio. But Dre made it feel effortless, and in doing so, he didn't just change hip-hop, he changed how we listen, how we feel, and how we make music. The world didn't just hear the beat, it felt it. Before you go, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And tell us in the comments what you'd like us to make next. We read every single one. Thank you so much for watching. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.